You know what? This is gonna be so fucking easy, it's not even worth my time. You owe me for this, Napalm 2.
This one is just exclusively for Fakesagan. The comment, you don't need to acquiesce to my demand for proof, or even admit that you have none, but rational thinkers withhold belief until evidence is supplied. Have fun in La La Land, dipshit. That was his most recent nugget of wisdom and insight. Now, let me explain this. Okay, this is just for you, and this isn't going to be long. It doesn't take long to explain something elementary. First of all, when it comes to burden of proof, we are going here beyond proof.
Okay, that bit that I just played for you, that bit right there, that's from a video that Paleocrat actually addressed to me. It's called, like, It's Elementary, My Dear Fakesagan, or he's Arthur Conan Doyle or something. Now, you know, he rants on for 7 minutes, essentially saying nothing. But I want you guys to take note of what he said right there. We're going beyond proof. Those are his words. We're going beyond proof. And that is the essence of so-called presuppositional apologetics. It's this transcendental argument for the existence of God, pioneered by the likes of Immanuel Kant, my favorite jackass philosopher. Now, you know, later on in the video, he actually says, "Oh, I bet you don't even know what a presupposition is." Well, actually, I do know what a presupposition is. It's an assumption. That's exactly what it is. What does it mean to presuppose something? It means that we're just going to assume that premise X is true, regardless of evidence. That's the essence of this presuppositional apologetics nonsense. It's, you know, skeptics are asking us for evidence of God. Fuck, what are we going to do? Oh, I know. Let's just say that all human knowledge, right, all understanding, it's based in the Word of God, right? That's the cornerstone, and it's impossible to prove anything unless you begin with this first cause, right? Right. That's what you got to do. And I mean, how can you know anything? What's your precondition for evidence? What's your precondition for standards of evidence? How do you know you can trust your senses? How do you know what you see and hear is real? So it's like a rehashed Plato's cave allegory waste of time. It's basically getting one's head up their ass. Now look. You know what really bothers me about apologists, and this is, I'm talking to you, Paleocrat, here, not the audience. I'm going to stop clowning on you for a second and actually address you directly. You know, after a lot of soul searching, I arrived at the stance that an atheist does not have to go around trying to proselytize believers. You know, I don't feel any obligation to take anyone's faith away and create atheists from the theistic population. I don't feel the need to do that. You know, I'm not sure that someone who's willing to believe without evidence would be much better off as an atheist. I think that person would most likely just become someone who worships the state, or you know, someone who substitutes something else for religion. You know, they'll still be a lazy thinker. You know, if you're not the type of person who's a critical thinker, just robbing you of the belief in God isn't going to cause you to be one. And I see this all the time. I see a lot of atheists who are anything but critical thinkers, especially around here on YouTube. Okay, but what bothers me about apologists is that you are trying to pretend to be something you're not, just as a creationist or an intelligent designer, whatever, pretends to be a scientist. Alright, you're trying to play my game. You're trying to pretend to be a philosopher. You're trying to pretend that you're using logic. I've even heard Paleocrat use terms like inductive reasoning. Okay, but what you're doing has nothing to do with logic, because logic has rules. Okay, there are rules to logic. You take valid premises and you derive conclusions from them. So for example, if we begin with the two premises that A, men are mortal, and B, Fakesagan is a man, then we can derive a valid conclusion from those two valid premises that C, therefore Fakesagan is mortal. And if we know that those first two premises are valid, then the conclusion derived from them has to be valid. It borrows validity from the premises. That's how it works. Now, what makes a premise valid? Only empirical observation. In other words, what we can see, what we can hear, what we can smell and touch and taste. What our senses tell us. But you want to presuppose that a premise is true. You're going to begin with the presupposition that God exists. And then we work from there. Well, it doesn't work that way. You are not allowed, you do not have permission to bend the rules of logic that way. That's like a little kid trying to play chess, picking up the bishop and just smashing all the pieces off the board. Oh, my magic bishop killed all your guys. Whoa. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. Bishop can only move diagonally. There are rules to logic that you are not allowed to break. You are not given permission to break or bend those rules. They exist for a fucking reason. And imagine if we were to apply the Paleocrat's way of thinking to other areas of life. Alright, imagine if you were accused of a crime, and when you get to court, the prosecution says, my argument is predicated on the presupposition that the defendant is guilty. And we can argue about anything else, but that presupposition is assumed. It doesn't work that way. But what if he's right? What if Paleocrat and his presuppositional apologetics are valid? What if the world that we see it's not real, right? Kind of like the Matrix. What if what if the things of this world are just a thin veil of smoke obscuring this ethereal, phantasmagorical realm of platonic forms and airy bullshit? Well, there's a pretty easy way to dismiss that. There's a pretty easy way to dismiss Paleocrat's nonsense about, how does your naturalistic logic work when there are preconditions for evidence? The fact that we have airplanes and vaccines and the computer that somehow you managed to turn on all by yourself, Paleocrat, that's how. Okay? Clearly the findings of the natural sciences are valid and they work. And if you don't think so, then the next time you get sick, go to a fucking witch doctor. Go and see a priest or a shaman, you jackass. But if you go to a fucking doctor, then clearly you accept that science works. Anyway, man, I'm frustrated. This takes me back. A little blast from the past for me. I know that apologists have a very hard time shutting the fuck up, and that you're going to reply to this video. I would tell you not to waste your time, but I know you're going to do it anyway. But I'm not going to reply. There's a reason that I don't argue with idiots like you anymore, and that's that I value my sanity and my time. So, peace the fuck out. Truth fucking first. Keep it fake.
Okay, I've been relatively tolerant of stupidity for a long time.